Well, welcome to Downtown Melo. You're listening to the Entertainment Report on iHeartRadio, live from Dubai for Tuesday, June 2nd, 2020, delivering some major stories and trends going on in the world of entertainment and beyond. You can follow the show on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram, facebook.com/The Entertainment Report with Ray Melo, that's RAYMELO, on Twitter at The Enter Report, or on Instagram at The Entertainment Report. You can listen to the show anytime you want on iHeartRadio. Just go to iHeart.com or your iHeart phone app, search for The Entertainment Report, and it'll take you to the page. James Cameron and producer John Landau have returned to New Zealand to resume filming the Avatar sequel amid the COVID-19 pandemic. Production was halted on multiple Avatar sequels in March due to the pandemic. New Zealand has endorsed COVID-19 safety procedures for film and television productions to follow. Cameron and Landau arrived wearing face shields and masks. The duo will have to isolate for 14 days before returning to work. Landau said on Instagram Sunday, alongside a photo of himself and Cameron, "Made it to New Zealand. Our 14-day government-supervised self-isolation now begins." The first Avatar film was released in 2009. Avatar 2 is set to hit theaters on December 17, 2021. 3 sequel films will then be released the weekend before Christmas every other year, with the final installment arriving in December 2027. The cast and crew of Mission Impossible 7 plan to resume filming in September. First Assistant Director Tommy Grumley said Tuesday on BBC Radio 4 Today that the film starring Tom Cruise is slated to start shooting again in September and wrap filming in May 2021. Mission Impossible 7 shut down production in February due to the COVID-19 pandemic. The movie was to begin filming in Venice, Italy. Grumley told Today, "We hope to start shooting again in September. We were days from shooting in Venice. We were right at the epicenter when it all kicked off, so we had to shut down in Venice when we were 4 or 5 days from shooting. We hope to restart in September. We hope to visit all the countries we plan to and look to do a big chunk of it back in the UK, on the back lot, and in the studio. So September through the end of April, May is our targets. We are convinced we can do this." Simon Pegg, who plays Benji Dunn in the Mission Impossible films, confirmed a planned September start to Variety. The actor said that will begin with the outdoor stuff. That feels fairly doable, and obviously there will be precautions put in place. He added people that are involved in any close proximity stuff, it will have to be determined that they're safe to do that. I don't know what the testing situation is, how that works, or whether they'll be able to test regularly. The British Film Commission published guidelines Monday for safe film and high-end TV productions during the health crisis. Cruise is also attached to star in the first narrative feature film to be shot in space. The movie will be directed by Doug Liman. Michael Che discussed on Late Night with Seth Meyers his experience with filming new episodes of Saturday Night Live from home during the COVID-19 pandemic. SNL started doing virtual home editions of the sketch comedy series in April due to the pandemic. Che and the show's stars recorded skits and the season 45 finale from home. Che told Myers on Monday, "I was extremely skeptical at first, and then when we started doing it, I started complaining and being miserable and stressed, like a show would be." He continued, "It kind of makes me think about other things. It kind of took my mind off of the world going insane, so I love doing it." Che also talked about how he's not able to try out new comedy material on stage due to the pandemic and how social distancing makes it hard to write new material. He says, "It's hard to focus. Your only voice is you. You have nothing to kind of bounce things off of. You need that audience, you need that energy, and you need that feedback." Comedian Jamie Kennedy, the host of the new season stand-up showcase show Coming to the Stage, said the coronavirus crisis is likely to have far-reaching effects on how stand-up comedy is performed and consumed. Kennedy, who rose to fame in the 90s and early 2000s and with roles in films such as Scream 2, and Malibu's Most Wanted, is the latest stand-up veteran to take the reins of hosting Coming to the Stage, which premieres its 8th season Tuesday on Pluto TV. Performers George Wallace, Tom Green, and Andy Kindler have helmed previous seasons. And he told UPI in a recent interview that was part of the appeal of hosting a show like Coming to the Stage is the opportunity to help lesser established performers reach an international audience. He says, I do it because I love comedy and I love hosting stuff, but definitely it is the way for younger comedians to get their first or second TV credit and for them to show the world what they're made of. He says it's nice to be a part of that. The veteran performer, whose latest comedy special, Stupid Smart, premiered May 25th on the streaming service Tubi, said that the COVID-19 pandemic is changing the way stand-up comedians practice their craft. Kennedy is one of the several performers who's been holding live stream shows via video chat apps, including Zoom, which he admitted is a little more difficult than a real crowd. He says you can act everything out as easily. I mean, you can try, but you've got to be in the right space. You've got to make sure you have a wireless mic. You've got to have your headphones in. So you've got to get it right. And then you've got to wait for the laugh because their windows are open. And then you've got to hope they're not talking on their window. It's definitely a different thing, but it can work. He says he expects to see more new technologies as lockdown measures are extended and live performance venues remain closed. He says, I think VR is coming. It's already been here. I think mixed reality is coming, and I think with the threats of these viruses and people not knowing what it is and how long it's going to last, a lot of people are going to stay home. He says he believes the way stand-up comedians interact with the fans has changed forever, and the industry will see pivots continued long after the virus has subsided. Jimmy Fallon says he's horrified by his past use of blackface in his Saturday Night Live sketch. The 45-year-old television personality and comedian again apologized Monday on The Tonight Show starring Jimmy Fallon for using blackface to impersonate Chris Rock in a 2000 skit on SNL. Fallon says, I had to really examine myself in the mirror this week because the story came out about me on SNL doing an impression of Chris Rock in blackface, and I was horrified. Now, not of people trying to cancel me or cancel the show, which is scary enough. The thing that haunted me the most was, how do I say I love this person? I respect this guy more than I respect most humans. He added of Rock, I'm not a racist. I don't feel that way. Fallon faced backlash in May after the sketch resurfaced online. He apologized on Twitter last week. Fallon wrote in 2001 on SNL, I made a terrible decision to do an impersonation of Chris Rock while in blackface. There's no excuse for this. I'm very sorry for making this unquestionable offense decision and thank all of you for holding me accountable. On The Tonight Show, Fallon said he tweeted the apology after initially being advised to just stay quiet and not say anything. He says, I realize that I cannot say I'm horrified, I'm sorry, and I'm embarrassed. I realize the silence is the biggest crime that white guys like me and the rest of us are doing, staying silent. We need to say something. We need to keep saying something. Fallon spoke to NAACP President Derek Johnson and CNN host Don Lemon, who voiced appreciation for Fallon's apology. Johnson says that was powerful, but most importantly, it's about courage. Lemon says that's exactly what we all need to do in examining ourselves. That was really honest and very, very review, and I appreciate you having the depth really to do what you did in that opening monologue. Fallon and his guests also discussed the national protests over George Floyd's death. Floyd, a 46-year-old black man, died last week in Minneapolis, Minnesota, while being restrained by a police officer who knelt on his neck. Johnson says to be anti-racist, it means joining in on this army to fight against racism. Rapper and activist Killer Mike appeared on The Late Show with Stephen Colbert to discuss the speech he gave in Atlanta and went viral on social media. Mike recently spoke in his hometown of Atlanta about the death of George Floyd and the protests that followed. Floyd was an unarmed black man who died while handcuffed and pinned to the ground by white police officer Derek Colvin. The officer, who placed his knee on Floyd's neck, has been fired and charged with third-degree murder and second-degree manslaughter. Mike in his Atlanta speech called on all the officers involved to be arrested, for citizens to burn down systematic racism instead of buildings, and calling on citizens to take action by vote. Mike told Colbert, all I said was purely in my heart about the speech, which fellow musician T.I. talked him into doing. He continued, I just wanted to save the city. I didn't want us to destroy what we had because hope exists here. Mike's hip-hop group, Run the Jewels, which he appears in alongside LP, are set to release their fourth album on Friday. Sunday's Tony Awards fundraising special has been postponed amid protests over George Floyd's death. Broadway On Demand announced Monday it's postponing its Tonys streaming celebration in solidarity with the national protest following Floyd's death. Broadway On Demand, a new streaming service, was to air the special June 7th with the support of the American Theater Wing and the Broadway League, which presents the Tonys. The 1-hour show is directed by Lonnie Price and will stream on TonyAwards.com and BroadwayOnDemand.com. The event will raise funds for the American Theater Wing and the Broadway League. Broadway On Demand says it is saddened by the death of Floyd and other black citizens at the hands of police. Broadway On Demand President Sean Cerrone said in a statement, "We are collectively saddened and angered by the senseless murders of George Floyd, Ahmaud Arbery, Tony Maded, Breonna Taylor, and disheartened by the ongoing racism and injustice that continues to permeate our society." He added, "We stand in solidarity with Black Lives Matter. This is a pivotal moment in our nation's history, and our priorities at this time are to listen, to engage in meaningful dialogue, and to do our best to enact real change in our industry and in our nation." The American Theater Wing also addressed Floyd's death in a statement Sunday on Instagram. The company says, "We as the leaders of the national theater community have a critical role here to not only denounce racism of any kind within our communities, but also to support, produce, and promote work that reflects and celebrates our beautifully diverse society, creates new narratives, deepen empathy, and understand and change hearts and minds." The special was to air in place of the Tony Awards, which were postponed in March due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Sean Penn announced on Jimmy Kimmel Live that a virtual Fast Times at Ridgemont High table read will take place in June in support of his nonprofit organization, CORE. The actor said on Monday that the table read was comedian Dane Cook's idea after he gave CORE its first donation in helping to fight COVID-19. The film's director, Amy Heckerling, and writer Cameron Crowe will present the table read, which will feature a star-studded cast portraying the characters. Penn, however, will not be reading his role Spicoli and will instead take on another role. Penn says, "We've got an amazing cast so far together. We still to cast a couple of roles, some I'll circle back to." He continued, "There's a fantastic actor playing Spicoli. It's kind of a mind-blowing cast so far," before inviting Kimmel to join the table read, which will take place on June 11th. Penn also discussed how CORE is dealing with the COVID-19 and getting tested for the virus. Carrie Ann Inaba apologized to Kelly Monaco 15 years after her critique on the actress on Dancing with the Stars. Inaba said in an interview with Yahoo Entertainment published Monday that she learned a lot since her abrasive 2005 critique of Monaco during the show's series premiere. After Monaco's first performance with her professional dancing partner, Alec Mazzo, Inaba says, "Kelly, I don't enjoy your dancing. You look very stiff and you look very refined. I appreciate your carriage, but it was very stiff and it wasn't enjoyable to watch." Inaba, who was booed by the audience for her critique, reflected on the moment in her interview. She says, "I was shocked at how abrasive the words sounded once they came out of my mouth because I was meaning them with like compassion, but they didn't come out with compassion. And that's a big, huge lesson of being a judge. You have to be very careful how you wrap your words." Inaba then addressed Monaco directly. "Kenny Monaco, I just have to apologize to you. I mean, forgive me. What I did, what I said was horrible, but I was just a baby judge and I was still learning how to do it." Monaco and Mazzo went on to win season 1 of Dancing with the Stars. Monaco returned and was partnered with Val Chermaninsky in season 15, where they placed third. Dancing with the Stars officially celebrated its 15th anniversary on its premiere Monday. Inaba voiced her support for former Dancing with the Stars judge Julianne Hough while discussing the anniversary with Entertainment Tonight, and her husband, Brooke Latch, announced Friday that they're separating after 3 years of marriage. Inaba says, "All I want to say to Julianne is that I love you and I support you. Anytime you need, I'm right here. I'm your sister, Judge Sisters." Season 28, the most recent season of Dancing with the Stars, ended in November with Bachelor alum Hannah Brown and professional dancer Alan Bernstein being crowned the winners. And finally, Def Leppard, Motley Crue, Poison, and Joan Jett and the Blackhearts have postponed their joint summer stadium tour until 2021 due to the COVID-19 pandemic. The band made the announcement on Monday. The original stadium tour was set to kick off on June 18th in Jacksonville. The rock legend said in a joint statement, "The new stadium dates are being rescheduled. Your tickets will be honored for all postponed shows, and refund policy information will be made available shortly." They continue, "Stay tuned, be safe, and we'll see you next year." The tour was set to bring Motley Crue back on the road together following the release of their Netflix biopic, The Dirt. Poison was set to tour with its original lineup of Bret Michaels, CeCe DeVille, Bobby Dahl, and Ricky Rocket. The The Doobie Brothers announced in May that they were postponing their planned 50th anniversary tour to 2021 due to the COVID-19 pandemic. And that is your entertainment report for Tuesday, June 2nd, 2020. I'm your host, Mr. Downtown Ray Melo. I'll be back tomorrow to deliver some major stories and trends going on in the world of entertainment and beyond. You can follow the show on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. Facebook.com/The Entertainment Report with Ray Melo. That's RAYMELO. On Twitter at The Enter Report, or on Instagram at The Entertainment Report. You can listen to this episode or any previous episodes of The Entertainment Report anytime you want on iHeartRadio. Just go to iHeart.com or your iHeart phone app. Search for The Entertainment Report, and it'll take you to the page. Good night, and God bless you all.